I'm Jacob Persley, and I am with a friend, Michael Gavlak, and this is my first interview on my YouTube channel. And this is unique because I never planned to have a YouTube channel. And I don't know if, Michael, you ever would have planned to be doing what you do on your channels, Tales of Truth and Sovereign Artsakh. But this war, this aggression of Azeris and Turks brought us together today.
It did, and it's an honor to be here, and it's an honor to especially be your first guest. So I know you have a long list of guests already. Just kidding.
No, I appreciate it. Michael, what I want to ask you, and I know a lot of people are wondering, what are these two guys without an Eon ending on their name doing, talking about Artsakh and talking and bringing these subjects up that most people that are non-Armenian would talk about? You're not Armenian ethnic background, as I understand. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And neither am I. But there's something that both of us have seen in this current conflict when the Azeris and the Turks, also aided by the Islamic terrorists, began to attack this little tiny area of Artsakh right over here. And they're trying to take this over, these peaceful people that were having coffee the night before, and they woke up at 6 in the morning where their capital is being shelled. And both of us, we saw an injustice in this, and we saw a greater threat. Can you tell me some of the things that you saw that was a problem?
Well, the problem, rewinding 3 years for me, I must have heard the term Armenian Genocide at some point in my life. But 3 years ago, I work in Hollywood, and I was looking into potentially launching out on my own and looking for a project. And I was talking to a guy, and he says, "You should look into the Armenian Genocide." I'm like, okay. I couldn't have even told you it was in World War I. And all I can know is that, well, the word genocide is really bad. And I know Armenia is an ethnicity. So this really bad thing happened to these people. That's about all I could have said to you. And so when I dug into it, number one, as a Christian, I was learning my own history. I didn't realize that Armenia was the first Christian nation, right? I mean, like, for number one, that was like hit me right in the head. I'm like, wait, how come I don't know this? Forget school. How come in church I've never been taught this? How come I never heard this? I mean, Jesus said, "Go and make disciples of the nations," right? Go and make disciples of the nations. And lo and behold, there's this guy, Thaddeus and Bartholomew, and they're like, "I'm going to go that direction. Thomas, go down to India, and you go over there, and I'm going to go up here." And lo and behold, a couple centuries after Thaddeus and Bartholomew sow the seeds of Christianity, the whole nation goes, "Yeah, let's follow Jesus." And so I'm like, this is my history. This is my, like, as a Christian, I may not be Armenian, but I'm not Jewish either. And I love the Jews because they're God's history, right? And so this is a continuation of God's story that nobody in America knows. It's like there's 2.4 billion Christians on the planet, and nobody knows that this is their history. The Mount Ararat is like the national symbol, like where Moses or Noah on the ark landed. The national symbol of Armenia. Like the Apostle Paul went all the way through Turkey, which used to be Armenia. It's like this is all the stories that we know. Abraham was right there, right through Armenia, marching, and God sending him here and there. Everything we believe, this geographic, I mean, the Garden of Eden, I'm telling you, whether it existed or not, I think it existed, and I think it existed. I do too. Right, there's these three lakes. There's Lake Van, there's Lake Savan, and there's Lake, the third lake over there begins with a U. And the rivers that run through that region are the ones referred to in the beginning of Genesis. I'm like, God cared about this place, and he still cares about this place. And why do you think people have been fighting there forever? So we Christians got to pay attention. All right, I could go on.
Man, what a great answer. I just want to add one thing. I went to a university which was a Bible-based university. I was called into ministry, so I studied pastoral studies, theology. Seminary. I went to another seminary and went on from there. And I never heard this history, the way you explained it, at any of my history classes. We focus on Western history, Byzantine Empire, and the Reformation, generally in our Protestant theological schools. And we ignore a large part of, or almost all of, the Eastern church history, which is, we're a part of that history. It is really true. And it is sad too. So it's interesting you went on that journey, because when I moved to Turkey, I also went on that journey. I'm like, wow, we've missed out. And we have a lot of rich history that we need to reclaim and teach. So anyway, that's exciting. And when it comes to, yes, go ahead.
Keep that thought.
Yeah, please.
But those of you watching this right now, if you haven't subscribed to Jacob's channel, you need to subscribe. Subscribe right now and share this video. And then maybe go to my channels and subscribe. But you got to spread the word. We're talking about
absolutely. Yeah, actually, and for those, we're interrupting for this, but Tales of Truth is one of Michael's channels. And then he has one, Sovereign Artsakh, and they will be both down in the description box. And look at what he's doing, because he's almost every day, I think you're putting out content about the issues going on right now that are very relevant for Americans. If you're watching, if you're in Europe and you're watching, this is important for you to know right now. I mean, anyway, there's a lot going on that we could talk about, but I want to go back to one more thing about you, Michael, is the issue with Artsakh. And you saw this, you learned about the Armenian Genocide and how horrific it was, and what the plans for the Turks were. And I know that the mayor of Baku in 2005 said, we need to again eliminate all of the Armenians. He said that. He quoted that. Everybody knows that. And we know that there's kind of been this Turkic resurgence, and specifically an Islamic resurgence from my perspective, that they're wanting to have this join all of the Turkic countries. Have you seen that? Is that one of the reasons too, maybe, that has kind of led you on this journey to speak out against the aggressions from the Turkic sides, from Azerbaijan and Turkey? And tell me what your journey is on that.
Well, when this particular issue first came to light for me, was I went to Armenia 2 years ago on a research trip. I have the rights to the memoir of Soghomon Tehlirian, and my historian says, well, you can't base your story just on a memoir, and so we need to go corroborate the account, right? Go into the archives. This isn't 1,000 years ago. This is 100 years ago. And there's archives that tell you what really happened. I've been to the archives in Istanbul, Turkey, with a Turkish historian saying, yeah, the genocide occurred. I've been in the archive, the Armenian archive in Yerevan, with an Armenian historian saying, here's all the stuff. And so on that trip, we drove from Yerevan to Tbilisi, Georgia. And the trip takes you through a region that is a contested region. And I'll post the video at some point where I'm recording saying, oh, so there could be snipers over there right now that shoot a hole through this window into my head. He's like, yep. I'm like, I was in the first time I'd ever been in a Muslim nation, because I went to Armenia before I went to Istanbul. So I was technically, when the road winds around these mountains, technically I was in Azerbaijan, because it's disputed territory, etc. So, and then learning about what Nagorno-Karabakh was, I was like, what? It's not Armenia, but it's Armenians. And Anthony Bourdain did an episode of Parts Unknown, and that's when I watched it, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And so when September 27th is when it really came back on my radar. I'm like, this has all the signs of the beginning of World War III.
Yeah.
Right. Because of my research, I've been researching World War I. This little conflict happens over there in Sarajevo. And even them, because there were wars all the time. There's the first Balkan War, there's a second Balkan War, and here's another one, another conflict, and it explodes, and all the world powers get involved, and becomes a brutal, brutal conflict for everyone involved. And then, World War II, this country invades this other country, this little conflict between Germany and Poland, and then it explodes and involves us all. And here we've got Nagorno-Karabakh. Historically, I mean, there's these ancient churches, Armenian churches on this land. It's like, this is history. This is, history doesn't go back 30 years. History doesn't go back 100 years. History goes all the way back. And so this dispute has all those earmarks. You've got Russia involved. You've got Iran involved. You've got China throwing money at Azerbaijan, and you've got the United States of America, the biggest Christian nation that's ever existed. that needs to side with this tiny nation. I'm like, we got to wake up.
So what would your advice be to those that are viewing this, whether they're in Europe or the United States, or future viewers? What are your suggestions that we do for peace in this region? And I think both of you and I agree about the official recognition of the Republic of Artsakh as sovereign land. But is there some things that you would suggest and that you think would be helpful?
You have some really good petitions and stuff, or like you forwarded some things. And so I'm forwarding those. So we as individuals, and neither of us are Armenian, but as Christians. So that my approach, the reason for starting the Sovereign Artsakh channel is to reach my brethren, the Christians. Like my Tales of Truth channel is secular. You know, we're talking about the facts of history, and I've got people on both sides of the political aisle there. I've got Muslims, I've got people that, it's not religious or political. It's just the facts of history. But this, my Sovereign Artsakh channel there's 2.4 billion Christians on the planet. All of us, if you're a Christian, know other Christians. You can't just sit back and watch YouTube videos. Right? You can't just sit back and watch YouTube videos and go on to the next video and then go watch a movie and then go binge watch a series. The world is in peril right now. I'm talking the US, the presidential election is the most critical election. You've got to educate yourself, and don't just listen to one side. Listen to both sides and suss out for yourself the truth. I'm telling you, this is evil trying to take over at an opportune time. We've had a global shutdown, a global pandemic. Their lives have been adversely affected. And when there's problems in any country, especially in countries that have dictatorships, they're going to point the finger and blame all of the issues to get everybody distracted from their misery and say, they're the problem, let's get rid of them. The Hitler did it, the Ottomans, the Young Turks did it, and it can happen right now. So don't just sit back and watch a video. Watch these videos, subscribe, and share. You got to spread the word. And I don't mean just, I'll send this video to one person. Think of as many people as you know that need to be informed. God has given us this technology for a reason. It's not intrinsically good or intrinsically evil. Technology can be used for evil. It can be used for good. We as Christians need to use it for good. So this is the way we can spread the word and unite as a body of Christ against evil. You pray, obviously, that's a foregone conclusion. Pray, but spread the word. How will they know if there's not a preacher to go? We use our feet. We don't need to use our feet now. We're thousands and thousands of miles apart, and we're united here through this little camera thing right here. It's like amazing. God gave us the innovation to do this. Spread the word. We're going to network. Jacob and I'm his first interview. I'm going to try. You had Artur, or you talked to, didn't you?
Asaturian, yeah.
Yeah.
Artur Asaturian, great friend of mine. We just did an interview recently, and I'd like to get you connected with him as well on his YouTube channel, Apologia Center.
Yeah, YouTube recommends videos, and one of his videos was being interviewed by somebody else. I'm like, I originally thought I was going to go into apologetics. I went, when I first moved to Southern California, I tracked down JP Moreland at Biola, and I went into his office. And I said, hey, I read this book, Creation Hypothesis, and I read this book, Scaling the Secular City. I'm like, I think I want to do this. And my life went in a different direction. It went in the direction that I know it was supposed to be. I work in Hollywood. I have a trophy, I have connections, and it's like, I need to use, I think God sent me into Hollywood to be a spy and to take everything from them and use it for God's good. And so when I heard that Artur was, he went through Talbot, and that he had JP on. So I'm like, this is a guy I need to talk to. So
yeah, we'll get you connected. Great friend of mine. I really love him a lot. The one thing that my channel is not as short as yours, but I just want to say this. In my content, my videos is this though, is that doing apologetics is basically we are exposing the darkness. We are exposing lies. It says in 2 Corinthians chapter 10 that we are to basically take down the strongholds that come against the knowledge of God. God is for truth, and I believe wholly, and I think you do as well, that there are lies and deceit being spread from the Azeri and the Turkish side because of the dictatorships that they're both under and the controlled media. And we have an obligation as Christians to tell the truth, and the truth will always win. That seed of truth goes in somebody's heart, whether they've been lied to their whole life, it'll turn in their heart, and it's going to annoy them. It's going to bug them, and they're going to start to research it, and it's going to come out, and people are going to be changed because of the truth. So I'm right with you on this. You're doing apologetics in a different way, but it's the same thing. It's a holy and righteous thing. So God bless you, Michael, for what you're doing. And let's do some more interviews together. I want to actually talk to you some more about your project with Solomon, with Telerian, and some of the other things. So have a great day in California, and I'm going to sign off here from Yerevan, Armenia. God bless you.
Get some sleep, man.
Hey, thanks.